What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Collectible Conversations, the podcast that's always a day late and a dollar short. How are you doing, Radar?
Hey, Squeaks, you scared me.
Great, man. Glad to have you. Today, we're going to talk about Logan Paul, and Radar went to Vegas to buy a Pokemon card. Hinata's the best waifu, and that's the show. Thanks for having us. We'll see y'all next time.
What is happening?
All right, take two.
Take 3, 4. Because that intro threw me off. But here we are. Hey, Squeaks, how you doing?
Actually, my intro. Okay.
I'm going to use that as the intro for sure. What's up, Squeaks?
What's up, Radar? How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
Well, I'm hanging in. It's Super Bowl weekend, so I'm a little excited for that. Not as excited as I could have been, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, I know your heart was crushed not too long ago. But yeah.
I'm used to it. 4 out of the last 7 years, baby. Let's go.
You got nothing on me, dude.
You're right. He's a Lions fan, everyone.
My entire life.
Put some F's in the comments.
But yeah, I mean, I did kind of break your heart as well because we didn't record a Collectible Conversations.
I was so torn up. I was thinking about just ending the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. So that was.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, guys.
No,
it
happens.
I was busy hanging out with people. I'm just gonna name drop.
That makes it sound like you just didn't care. That is not the truth.
When you have
on a business trip.
When you're hanging out with Steve Aoki and Gary, your priority list changes. I'm sorry.
Hey, you want to get out the list of all the names to make sure you didn't miss anyone on it before you
just a whole scroll, just going through a whole list of names. Squeaks at the bottom. Just kidding. Squeaks, you're at the top. I love you, man.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, I was out there on a business trip. You spend money, you got to take advantage of it. And we talked it out. It's fine. We can.
Well, it's also a situation where, us filming these podcasts, we obviously want to be able to take the time to have a full discussion and do it right. And if it's going to be something where it has to be rushed in 20 minutes from, a hotel room connection kind of thing, that's not going to provide the quality that anyone wants. We would be better off just skipping an episode, in our opinion, at least, than to do something half quality and then, people watch it and feel like we wasted their time. So we thought it'd be better to just wait. And then that way we could come back and kind of recap everything that's happened so far. And so today, that's pretty much what we're going to do is, talk about, obviously, the big news that had happened with Logan Paul, your trip, as well as then we will just cover the blips and bleps from last time.
Yeah, perfect. Well, yeah, this is insane. I fully expected kind of a fraction of what was announced in Logan Paul's video. I think we all, at least us,
But for anyone that hasn't seen, recap it. What was announced? Do you want me to do it? You want to do it?
Logan Paul bought 6 first edition base set booster boxes. He spent $2 million on 6 first edition base set booster boxes, which I think, again, people in our community, in the Pokemon deep rooted community, were aware that he was buying more after he said he's done. To us, that was just that's a joke. He's clearly going to be buying more. So I knew he was going after first edition base set boxes. I tried selling him other stuff and he didn't want it. That's not to say that he still bought other stuff. I don't know. But I knew he was going after first edition base set boxes and I had no idea he'd be able to get his hands on 6. I don't care if you have $2 million. Finding 6 is just an incredible feat to accomplish. So,
which I think one is partially a testament to when you're willing to pay market or even potentially above market value on something, you're obviously far more likely to find it or be able to pull it out of the woodwork than when you're out there, oh, this is a, $300,000 box. I'll give you $280, when it's just a reality that the people that own those things know they're not going to have to sell them cheaper. But I would say even more so than that, I think it's a testament to kind of what happens when you have a larger market reach. He has probably an infinite amount of connections, and all of those people have their own connections. And between that and the relationships that he has made within the community and that kind of thing, and plus just the notoriety that a lot of these people can get when they sell that product into him and get to get placed in a video and that kind of thing and have their cameo, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that is also going to pull people out of the woodwork, right? I think in that video we saw Pokiju was in there. We saw ZNG, I think, had a cameo in there. And so, a few others. And so that is going to help drive, a lot of that finding process. Whereas the average person, if they wanted 6 boxes, would probably, like you said, have a very, very difficult climb to being
Mm-hmm.
able to even acquire or find 6 boxes. Whereas for him, I wouldn't say it was probably easy by any means, but that it would be easier because of his market reach. And I think that really is a testament to the value of building a brand, not just, for content creation and making money and all of that, but also just it really can help you acquisition items, even on like a smaller scale, for the average person out there, right? Most of us here and listening are probably not Logan Paul sized people. But the reality is sometimes just building up a presence in a community, and it doesn't have to be a content creator, just somebody that maybe writes articles or, helps people out or answers questions, can really facilitate you being able to find items that you're looking for your collection and kind of help you progress along.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that Leonhardt's had some amazing finds, people that reach out to him. I myself have had plenty of people reach out to me. I don't get deals like they do, but still having some sort of online presence, yeah, absolutely provides that opportunity. I mean, hats off to like all these sellers and the people involved, because there really was not a lot of conversation during these past few months of him buying
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know what he did to convince them to do that, to get them to keep their mouth shut, because people love to talk.
Yeah.
So well done. I mean, fantastic. Fine, doing that, he's going to make so much money. Great investment, just regardless of if he's Logan Paul or not.
Little plug. I actually just did a video on. It was kind of like a Logan Paul reaction thing, but I actually did a breakdown of the business decision and pulled up the whiteboard, did the math and everything, and yeah, he is poised to make a lot of money. Like
What?
like his worst case scenario is making like a few $100,000, assuming every pack goes for like 10 grand a piece. There's no advertiser revenue. There's no nothing. And his like best case scenario is, I mean, I don't even know that you can quantify it, right? It really depends like how far that market reach goes.
Well, I've seen someone posted a video of my $30,000 bid on Logan Paul pack. So people are going to be bidding well over 20,000. It seems like. I was thinking these packs would easily reach 15 to 20, but with this notoriety, the expectation of being bigger than last time, yeah, I'm not going to be shocked if all these packs reach in the high 20s, just for the simple reason of businesses and other YouTubers finding an opportunity here to get some clout, get some.
And I think that there's one really important thing here to note before we even progress forward, because I can already see the comment section. There are 24 packs listed right now. Obviously, in a box, you're expected to get 12 hollows. So you can already figure out the optic that people are going to create, the narrative that they're going to try to write. And so I believe it was Gary on Instagram, Pawn Stars Gary, King Pokemon, actually reached out to Logan and just said, "Hey man, what's up with this?" And because he wanted to provide that info for the community, because he obviously knows Logan on a personal level a lot better than what, most people do.
Mm-hmm.
And so he knows that he would never do anything disingenuous, like a lot of people are going to try to write. And so he actually just reached out to him. And the reality is that he had some people that were really interested in bidding that he knows of that wanted to buy packs apparently, and they want to pay in like crypto or something. Please check out the post to make sure you get all the details accurately, but this is how I read it, that they want to pay in like crypto, which is not an option through Golding auctions. And so that's why those packs are being held back, but that they are all being sold. They are all going to be completely unweighed, and none of them are going to be like held over for other people. And so again, it is all completely legitimate. And I think that's like a very important thing, and that may just be like one of those things that, Logan liking Pokemon and doing this stuff, but maybe not being as like entrenched in the like buy sell trade aspect all the time of the community, may not have seen how that would be, interpreted by the bigger public. And so to me, I think that's just a really important thing to note, that from everything I've seen so far with the auction, it looks like they are doing it, by the book across the board legitimately. And I think that's really exciting to see.
Yeah, no, there's no reason for him to do anything like that, and it would just be idiotic. I know, I talked to Gary about this. I was with him in Vegas for the past few days. And yeah, the amount of requests that they got for crypto payments was just crazy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they figure out a way on Golden Auctions, if they have a continued partnership to figure out how to add that into their website, or if Logan just takes it off completely moving forward and doing his own thing to get crypto.
Only on crypto. Yeah.
Not only, but with the option.
Or with the option.
Yeah. So I believe that the 12 packs will be sold at like an average cost price point from like the top 5 or some packs.
Correct. Yes, and that was the other thing to note, is it's the average of like the highest ones that they're going to then sell those ones at. So it's not like those people are getting some special rate that nobody else has access to or anything like that. In fact, arguably their rate would be theoretically worse than the lower ones.
Yeah, potentially.
Because if it's average based on the highest, right, the low and not the lowest, then I think, they could have maybe just bid on one of those. So like, which I think adds legitimacy, right? I think you have to do it that way. If you do it based on the lowest ones, then like, again, it calls into question. So like, again, I think they've thought it through. I think they're doing everything by the book, and I think that's what makes it exciting, because I think it's going to shut a lot of the commentary down. I mean, love him or hate him, he's doing a great thing for the hobby, and there is a lot of controversy around him. And I like him. I think that he has reformed as a person. I think he is trying to do great things in the world. I think it's cool to watch. I think his last box break, he did a lot of charitable stuff. I think that's fun, and I think that kind of encompasses what Pokemon's all about. And so, I think just getting that out of the way now and like clarifying that this is legitimate, and like taking that away, so that the whole conversation and the whole narrative about what's happening right now and the impact that it's going to have isn't all focused around something that like doesn't have any merit at all.
Right. So enough of that. Are you going to get one? Are you going to buy a pack?
I am not. I am not.
I've been asked this question because, like the last pack, I believe it made a lot of sense at $11,000 for the majority of people who bought packs to buy a pack with the notoriety behind his name, that advertisement, and how well he actually presented those shout outs. I think people got well over the $11,000 of value from the original packs. Now, considering these are double price, $22,000, who does it make sense for to buy a pack? For someone like me,
wait, real quick, are they up that high?
I just know that someone posted a video saying they put in a $30,000 bid, showed it live, like on his video. I saw the majority of them yesterday were already at 12 to 15. Like, I think all of them had bids, all 24. So just considering $20,000 a pack, who does that
assuming the box price doubled, the pack price would probably double.
Yeah,
as well,
who does that make sense for? And for me, someone who has 3,500 subs on YouTube, whatever 1,000 subs on Instagram, not really like a steady business. I'm all over the place with what I buy and sell, right? I don't have a steady flow of inventory for people to go to and find and buy. It makes zero sense for someone like me to buy. It's 100% a gamble for me. Sure, I would get some extra followers. Sure, I can make a video on it. But with my video strategy, what I do in YouTube space, like I'm not going to continue those type of videos. So it's not going to be the same consistency for me like it is for other people, or the same impact. I won't be able to stretch that out.
Part of buying those packs and getting like that advertisement from it, which is probably where the core value is, right? Because you can go out and buy, first edition packs and maybe they're light, but there are some, every once in a while heavy packs that pop up. And I suspect these will go even higher than those. And I think to get the value out of those advertisement dollars, it's like you said, 3,000 subs, X amount of subs. I think you got like 6,000 or 7,000 on Instagram, whatever. But like to really get that market value, that almost that snowball off of it. You almost need a large enough core base to have it work, right? And look at like some of the people that we saw buy in last time, right? Like, Stephen Graham, who's got just a gajillion subs on YouTube across like 3 different channels, like that guy could build a house out of play buttons at this point. And so like those kind of things. And so I expect that we'll see a much different buyer pool this time. I think we'll see a few people that are more well known in the community. I would be interested to see if Gary would bid on one. He probably won't, but maybe he would. That'd be kind of neat. I could see SM Pratt going for one. I could see a lot of like the crypto sector, like these businesses in the crypto sector that are trying to make names for themselves go in, whether it's with crypto or even just bidding on the auction house, just to get their plug in there, especially since there is a crypto element to this that we can get into, in a little bit.
Got Money TV.
Collectibles guru, I think we have to mention that he is a possibility of buying a pack.
Maybe. Yeah, because he's just going for the shut up the haters if he pulls a Charizard.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what he would go for.
That's also a thing, right? We've talked about on in our podcast, like kind of how certain things you buy in the hobby are status symbols that you may not even have like a real emotional attachment to the item that you're buying, but it's more about being able to say you have it. There is kind of a status symbol element to being able to just say like, yeah, I just threw 30,000 down and bought a pack in Logan Paul's break. No big deal. Like,
yeah,
says
your name.
That's kind of,
it says your name because you shout out, has the new PSA label, and of course the NFT online thing. I want to get into that too. But is there a price point that would make sense for you? Because you're booming. Your YouTube channel,
$3.
Realistically, come on, Squeaks.
I don't think so. I don't think at this point. Maybe if like
your channel's blowing up. You're rolling right now, dude. You're killing it on YouTube. And
thank you.
Your type of content, what you're doing, and your business as well, is I think set up properly to have this be a very advantageous thing for you. But at what price point?
So the reality is it's probably just already beyond it. So the way that I would sit and look at this without, getting too into the nitty-gritty technicals is you've got to factor what do you get out of it? So you get a shout out, which if we saw anything from Guru's involvement on the last break, which he kind of hinders himself, but he was much more involved than just buying a pack. Right. He was there. He was talking. He was doing his stuff. And I didn't see a massive conversion in terms of like Instagram followers for him. He did get some, couple thousand, but it wasn't like 100K overnight kind of thing. And so now we're looking at, 20, 30,000. And again, you can always weigh out if he hurt himself or not in that whole process. But there were other YouTubers, there were other, people that I would say they got their reaction video. And for a lot of them, it was more about the ad revenue from the video than it was, boosting their subscriber count or their viewer base. And so for me, I have to look at how much money am I spending here versus how much bigger of a net am I casting and a reach am I getting versus if I took that same amount of money and just actually did like targeted ads with my videos or did like giveaways that are more direct to consumer and like, of the network of like friends of my friends and that kind of thing to kind of span out that web. And it's just like, I did an Instagram, giveaway, and in that I had like $60 of ad credits. And so I just used those on it. And I ended up getting 1,000 followers in, it was like a week. And so to me, when I look at that, I say, okay, here I gave away like $100 in product and $60 in ad credits. Had I spent that money, that's $160 for 1,000 followers. If I break that down across $20,000 or $30,000 for a pack, I could get myself 20,000 followers theoretically, maybe even more doing that. And I don't see the pack getting me that. So when I sit and weigh out like the market reach for me, it doesn't make sense. But when you take a company that they already have a massive base, and for them, it's more about getting brand exposure because they already have, they put up a video, they're already going to have a massive wave that comes in and watches it no matter what, which is going to get them in the YouTube algorithm, which is going to get more people watching it. And then to have that content and get it into a front of a new sector, I think that is where like the big importance is, which is why I actually think we'll see a lot of crypto companies buy packs.
Yeah. Now, you've kind of been comparing apples to oranges here with Mr. Clean and these other guys that aren't really Pokemon creators, right? But if look at somebody like Randolph Pokemon, who, yes, his YouTube channel had a much larger base than yours does currently, but he went from getting 10, 12,000 viewers to like a couple 100,000 for videos over videos, you know, for a solid chunk of time, which probably allowed the ad revenue to you know, carry him over that $11,000 mark. I remember talking to or listening to Graham talk about his reasoning behind it, and that it was pretty much a break even for him at $11,000. And he was like, yeah, I could just do a video, like any type of video, for $11,000 or cheaper and make the same amount of money in his world. But he's not a Pokemon world, he's finance world, right? So you're in the Pokemon world, you're on the come up. I think there's a price point that makes sense for you. And I think that although it's a huge gamble at $20,000, I think somewhere in like the $10,000 to $15,000 range for you would make sense.
Yeah,
especially if you decided to throw it.
Maybe it's just not my risk tolerance style, right?
Yeah.
Like because I'm also a firm believer that a lot of the content I make is not like reactionary content, right? Like I will do a reaction to like the news, but more of what I want to do is provide like the analysis behind it. I'm not like a channel. And so to me,
you're getting there. Look at all the thumbnails.
Wow, he's calling me out.
Edit in all the thumbnails from his videos.
Okay, thumbnails are much different than actual.
Hey, it's a gateway drug. It's a gateway drug. The thumbnails is a gateway drug.
You're not wrong. But I don't disagree, right? And I think that this is very important to talk about, because I think this is something that a lot of people out there are weighing out right now. You know, where is the balance here? And, you know, for, you know, like, let's take someone else in the community. You know, I had mentioned that it makes sense to me that like Scott would go into it, Scott Prass and Proud on YouTube. To me, that makes sense, because for him, one of the biggest sides of his business is his Patreon, his consultation. You know, if he can get a plug in there to shout that out, or just even the idea of like, oh, he's got enough fund money to go around and going on a pack like this. Clearly, the guy's balling out and doing well. More people come to him because they want to be balling out and doing well. So they do consultate. Like, that to me makes sense. I understand that. Right. And that's why I think like to do something like this, even at a high cost like that, I think it makes sense. I think you just have to have the right build out for it. Yeah. And I think that's kind of like where we've gotten with this whole discussion is it's not as much about necessarily subscriber counts or viewer counts or Instagram or YouTube or wherever you're at. It's more about, is what you're trying to do and your end goal built for something like this? And I think if the answer is yes, then obviously this is a huge opportunity. If the answer is no, then if you don't do this analysis, you could end up spending a lot of money on something that will end up not doing a lot for you. Yeah. And you mentioned, you know, Stephen Graham. I mean, the guy is a big Pokemon fan. I just watched his house tour video. He literally has like a fossil sheet in his hallway, like in this like multi-million-dollar like gorgeous home, and like there's like a Pokemon fossil sheet just like in the middle of everything else. And
the same one that's behind you, right?
What'd you say?
It's the same one that's behind you.
There is one behind me, but my house is also nowhere close to his. Like his looks like super like a adult human's mansion, except there's a Pokemon sheet in it. Like that is the difference.
He had it built for himself, so like.
Yeah, exactly. No, I know, but like
he made $5 million.
It is also a tax write-off, and I think that is like a very important thing to factor in. When he makes a video about it and does those things, he can, you know, theoretically write off the cost of that.
Yeah. Well, so can you. So can I.
Professionals, we're not tax advisors. Don't go buy packs and think you can write them off. Talk to your accountant.
It's a marketing expense. I think it can be very easily. And I think in legal, I don't know. You're right. Talk to your accountant.
Yeah, depending on your situation, it could be. Talk to your accountant; they will tell you. But yes, I suspect that he did write off his booster pack purchase.
I don't know.
That would be my guess if I was guessing with my limited financial knowledge.
It's funny, you know. I sit here thinking that it's a great opportunity for you where you're at in your situation, and for you, you're just like completely shut it off. Now, you know,
I just don't think it is.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously with your knowledge and what you do, you can take that $20,000 and turn it into $40,000 in a month with buying and selling, because you have that knowledge and know-how. So yeah, it's weighing out all those potential options. There's so many things to think about, especially when you have limited funds. Like for Scott, I think he has the money. I don't think it makes sense for Scott right now. I think he has.
Really?
I think he has not enough time already with the amount of consultations he has to deal with and work he has to do. I think the one benefit that he would get, like you said, I guess, is additional entrance into his Patreon. But I guess maybe he could utilize that the more he gets. I don't know what his strategy is, but the more Patreon members he gets, the higher he boosts his consultation fee. I think he's already at a point where he can do that. So I don't know.
Well, and one of the things though that we talked about is kind of the notoriety or the market reach that comes from it. You know how I had mentioned earlier in the podcast that we can, sometimes building out just that awareness of yourself helps. Putting out his awareness there, maybe he doesn't need more consultations, but maybe he finds some higher end clients from this thing that sees his name, sees what he does. Maybe they have stuff. Maybe there's people out there that watch this thing, and Scott ends up being the only one that buys cards for the most part in like big collections, and they see that, so then they come and sell him stuff. It can always be a facilitation type thing. And so again, I think it just depends what your goals are, right? Content to me is second. The store will always be my focus, and so. I don't even monetize my channel. That's the other thing. We're talking about ad revenue on videos. I don't even put ads on my videos. Like, I know Radar hates me for it, but this is like, so to me, it doesn't make sense for where my goals lie. Like you said, I can take 20,000 and go, speculate on some cards, sit on them for a few months, and hopefully they turn into 40,000, that kind of thing. Like that to me is where I see that money being better utilized. If I had just a giant pool of like, FU money over or whatever, then sure, I go out and, buy a pack, do whatever, have a good time, etc. But to me, it doesn't make sense for me right now. I think it's interesting that you say it doesn't make sense for Scott. And I think that this is like one of those interesting things where everyone kind of has to weigh it out for themselves and weigh out what their goals are. No one's going to know anyone's picture better than themselves. Right. And so it's that's why, like, we're going to see people that buy packs that it's like, oh my God, why did they buy a pack? And like, that
we will know. We don't actually know. Yeah,
it's like wrong. Like you don't know anything about that person's like behind the scenes. Maybe it's like the smartest decision they've ever made. Maybe they've just always wanted to own a pack. And so I think this is kind of leading into like a topic I want to talk about. Is we saw this with the first break too. There's going to be a lot of controversy and discussion and people trying to write up stories and get narratives flowing and everything. I think this is like one of those things that you should just enjoy it for what it is. We're getting to watch another first box break. It's going to be cool that we're getting to see it on Pokemon Day. Pokemon Day back in 2016 was really fun too. Pokemon did a lot of things for that. Hopefully they'll do more things on their own day. And then, we'll finish the day with like the Logan Paul break or whatever. I think it's just a cool thing for the hobby again. And I think you should just, if you're out there and you're not buying into it, just let it be what it is then. Let it be a cool thing for the hobby that we're all partaking in and enjoying, and, just leave it at that. That to me is, what it's all about.
What do you think about the new labels that everyone's getting? We can kind of segue this.
Dude, you're just trying to like get me rolling. You have like a little clavo pussy.
That's what we're here to talk about. I want to get into the. I don't want the 10-minute version of
PSA labels to say Logan Paul break or whatever.
Only to the PSA 10 hollows, or I think hollows. I don't know if. Right, it was just PSA 10. He said he made it specific that it's a PSA 10. I don't know if it's just the hollows.
If your card did not get a 10, you can't get it designated.
Correct. That's what he made it sound
like.
Somebody
fact check that just to make sure, but I'm just going to comment on the label as a whole. That way, if for some reason that is wrong, that the whole point of what we then discuss is not missed. And you can look it up while we're talking.
I'm going to message
the reality for me is, I think the label thing is a gimmick, which is fine. Again, if you bought into that break, you get a cool little memento. I think that's cool. I think that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Here are my two issues. One, PSA for years has not done anything like that. In fact, it's not until there's another company on the scene that's gaining a lot of market traction that does do pedigrees that they are now doing it.
Who's that?
CGC.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, CGC does pedigrees. You can have it put on the back or whatever. I'm really shocked actually that Leonhardt has not had that done yet.
Interesting.
With like Natu or something, like Leonhardt's Natu or something. But so to me that kind of seems like a counter to that, in the sense of we'll do it for this thing, right? And most people will probably accept it because it was a big deal, and then eventually we'll just slowly introduce it. The other thing is it makes sense from PSA side because now they're getting to partner with like this really popular person that's going to promote this thing, and it's going to get their brand out there more, brand awareness. So it's definitely like a business decision on both sides. For me, though, my qualm comes with the label itself and the fact that PSA has struggled for years to get appropriate label designations done because they can't fit everything on the label. So now we're just going to start adding pedigrees. You don't even have base set. It says 1999 Pokemon game on the label. You don't even have base set on it, yet you've got room to put Logan Paul break. Like, again, I think it's a cool thing, but I think that there's like so much other relevant information missing that people have just accepted over the years that to me now shows you clearly do have room on the label to put stuff like that. It's just laziness.
Yeah.
It's just, or the idea that we don't want to add this because then all the other old labels, that to me is such a cop out. Companies evolve, companies change, things adapt over time. They've changed their actual label structure, the security features and all that over the years multiple times. So to me, that's a cop out.
What I do care about is the fact that people are going to be, or hopefully not, but probably will be paying a premium on a PSA 10 from this break because it has Logan Paul's name on it. I don't have a problem with Logan Paul, but people are being sold this experience. They're being upcharged this experience or this label, right? When it's the exact same card as another one. It's a PSA 10 versus a PSA 10. And people are going to start paying premiums for that. I don't like that. I think that's straight. I think that's dangerous.
I think that's an eye of the beholder thing. I think that's like the most bottom of the barrel thing to worry about, strictly because of the fact that you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to pay the premium on it if you value that card came from Logan Paul's break and there's a video to watch the provenance of it and you get to enjoy that you see your card.
There's already a cert number from it. Why? It can already be tracked.
But regardless, like nobody is forcing anyone to pay a premium on it. Like they're choosing to do that by choice, right? If nobody ever pays a premium for it, then those cards will just sell for what all the other 10s do, etc. So
I really like your response.
One of those things that you either want to pay the premium or you don't. I mean, the narrative that somebody buying into it, like, because they can make a bunch of money on it, is like.
But we're
ridiculous.
writing a narrative here that you can make a bunch of money.
Logan Paul card. Buying into the break, thinking, oh my god, I can get this card graded, and it's gonna say Logan Paul on the slab. One, it's a gamble to get a 10 anyways, and two, if you do it, I think it's kind of ridiculous to assume that because it says that there will be a premium.
Yeah.
But if someone wants to pay a premium for it,
see,
if someone wants to pay a premium for the digital card, cool. I don't think it's a smart move, but it's your choice. And like that's like one of those, I'm never going to tell people how to spend their money. You can spend it however you want. People do dumb stuff with their money every day. I buy pizza like 4 times a week, right? A lot of people think that's
cheap.
dumb. But like the reality is, I'm more referencing on the, like, if you're going into it in the headspace of like, I'm looking is like an investment or to make money. If it's just like an entertainment thing or you want to do it or whatever, blow it, baby.
Yeah.
Like I
see, after this conversation, I'm starting to get more and more of a reason to actually buy one for myself. And that's the danger of this conversation as well. Like, to me, again, it's a gamble the whole way around. I don't know if advertisement would help me out. I don't know what's going to be in the pack. I don't know what it's going to grade, and I don't know what that crypto digital card is going to go for. But I'm just adding in more reasons now that could take off and do well for me. So
and like, I don't think the pedigree is inherently bad. In fact, I actually like that these companies are starting to interact with communities more. I think that it's neat that they are doing it. I don't like that they're doing it before they do some of the other things that the community has had issues with for so long.
Yeah.
Like if PSA will, take steps forward into improving their label or getting, things categorized correctly or not having to abbreviate Unbroken Bonds regional promos, like, because you can't fit all the letters in there. Like that, to me, it makes sense.
Just give us digital labels.
Like
stock, stock
on
tickers.
Blockchain. And like that, then there could be collectible ones too. You can potentially just get like a rainbow foil label.
I want cert number 0000001. That's what.
Yeah, there you go. But to me, the pedigree thing is fine. I actually think it would have been more interesting if they just did it on the back because the space is there, and that would have alleviated. But now you're literally doing exactly what CGC is doing, which is probably the optic they wanted to avoid. Plus, it's also like you want to see it when you see the front of the card.
Yeah.
So again, it's a tough balance act, but like my frustration with it derives more from all these other complaints that, we as a community have had for years that seem to fall on deaf ears.
Hmm.
And now all of a sudden they're just like interacting with the community and here's Logan Paul's break card. And like it to me it seems kind of odd. Maybe we'll see those other things fixed over time, at which point then I don't really care. So my issue more with it does not lie in the act of it itself, but more kind of what it
Right.
symbolizes for these other things that have just been ignored.
Right.
That's
And
that's
and
what's up
those
there.
things that have been ignored are something that their customers have learned to live with and just deal with it. But when you add in something
And if
like
they don't, they
this,
just go somewhere else, right?
right?
Like I
And
think
but
that's
they add something in like this, and it boosts the share price up even more. So, which I think they finally came to an agreement: $92 per share for the
is
stockholders.
that
Yeah, that's what I think.
which is
I think it came out this morning. So I don't know that whole process,
see,
obviously,
and now
but
that they are private, maybe this is like them starting to take those steps in a different direction, right? Maybe this is just like a first step because the opportunity is here right now, but maybe they're going to go back and start doing some of those changes and those fixes and those
very well
differences.
could.
And so, I am optimistic for that. I think a lot of people think out there that like, oh, Squeaks is just that CG. It's every other grading company. I have a ton of PSA graded cards. I have graded with PSA for more years than I've graded with any company. I would love nothing more for them to excel because then all the other companies are going to excel and we win. We win. That's
Hmm.
the whole goal. And like, so to me, I want them to fix those things. I think it's in their best interest to fix those things because what happens is when you start doing things like putting Logan Paul break on there, but you haven't fixed these other things, I think you start taking your tried and true long-term loyal customers and you start stacking stuff on top of each other that eventually they're not just going to accept it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And so eventually they will just find a different alternative. And so I would actually like them to, you know,
fix your lead
make
times.
those changes.
So speaking of pedigrees, uh, we also saw Steve Aoki add his own on that Illustrator, that video he posted, which also came along with some other higher end cards and sports cards there as well. So, yeah, it sounds like that PSA is starting to partner up with quite a few people. I don't know who else. And I know that process was a little lengthy to figure that out. I'm sure they went right after Logan as soon as he opened that first edition base set box, and set that whole partnership up. But yeah, I got to spend some time with Steve. That's why, again, I missed our last recording.
Mhm.
I went out to Vegas to pick up a pretty historic card,
Mhm.
a 1997 Pikachu trophy #2, which there are a lot of questions being thrown around about this because it's altered and who actually owns it. I actually own part of it. I'm all in on partnering with the right people for the right times. I also do like
Mhm.
those apps as well that you can buy shares of stuff too. If you're just kind of doing this Pokemon stuff passively, I think it's a great opportunity for people.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. I got to hang out with Steve.
Mhm.
But yeah, it sounds pretty interesting that we're getting all these collaborations now with the celebrities and PSA. Are we going to
Yeah.
start seeing it with Beckett? Are we going to start seeing it with CGC?
Mhm.
I mean, SGC even did that kind of expedited grading for Steve and Gary during the break that they signed and
With
auctioned
the
off.
signed cards and everything, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they had all those cards from the break graded pretty quickly out of SGC, and then Gary and Steve signed the cases, I believe, and then they auction them off on PWCC. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's weird. I haven't heard anything from SGC. I don't know if they're going to step into Pokemon at all. I think they easily could
They
have, or
grade Pokemon, but, like,
yeah,
in a bigger role, yeah.
right. And they easily or very well should have been the person that step up before CGC came into the picture because they have already been doing it for a while. They have a very well established grading company. So I don't understand why they didn't come up and kind of take that role and just let CGC walk in and do it.
Yeah, I think part of it's, like, the making the right moves, the right narratives, that kind of thing, right? But I mean, I think there's so much market cap that like that opportunity still exists, and we could absolutely still see it. But more so than that, I'm more interested to talk to you because I mean, we've broken down grading a million times on here. I'm more interested to talk to you about the Pika trophy. So you hung out with Steve while you were down there. You hung out with Gary some and everything. But
Yeah.
talk to me more about the Pika trophy itself. What allured you to this card? You know, what's your thought process with the buy and eventually the sale and that kind of thing,
hmm
and everything moving forward.
Yeah. So the Pikachu trophy was an interesting opportunity that popped up. I was actually in the market for an illustrator with a couple buddies of mine. And the opportunity just kind of went away as somebody swooped in and took it beforehand. Fair. It was all fair game. They just got there before I did. So I was kind of down and in the dumps about not picking that card up because we see the Illustrator PSA 7 being sold on PWCC here in February. So as soon as I heard of that news, I realized that trophy cards, like true trophy cards, are kind of coming to an end where they'll be available for the general public, I guess, including myself. Even if I were to bring in outside investors like I've done, I don't think it would be reasonable to start paying $1 million for ungraded copies of illustrators from Japan. Like, I think it's crazy to even think about doing 300,000, 400,000. Like, that's an insane amount of money to send over to Japan and hopefully get the card in good condition. So to me, I was just scrounging for the next opportunity once that one fell through. And my good buddy, Enlightened Bulbasaur, brought this one to the table, got me in on it for 30% of the card. And to me, I've had this conversation with many people in the past. These 1997, 98 trophy Pikachus are the true holy grails of the Pokemon TCG. Specifically the 1997, because there's only 4 of each. With the 98 or the second tournament and third tournament, I think there's a few more copies of each. I don't remember correctly now, but all I know, there was 4 handed out of the 97s each at the very first Pokemon tournament that was ever held in Japan. So this is like literally the most historic Pokemon card, in my opinion. Again, this is all my opinion. You don't have to share this with me. But you got 4 copies of the first place, second place, third place versus the Illustrator, which is 39. I believe we've seen extra copies of the Illustrator, and I believe we've seen a couple extra copies of the trophies as well, but nowhere to the extent that we've seen these other cards. So this was just like a no-brainer. Hop on it as soon as possible to me. It's one of those cards that still just flies under the radar. The Illustrator is the holy grail, again, to the general world, the general public, but within the Pokemon community, I think we're all pretty well aware of the rarity and scarcity of these 97 Pikachu trophy cards and their true meaning. So I think just getting that for cheaper than an Illustrator is mind-boggling. Of course, there's a risk involved with the awareness issue of them, but my thought was once this Illustrator happens, people are going to start figuring it out and they're going to know, and that opportunity is never going to come up again.
Well, and people are becoming a lot more privy, I think, to the trophy market. I think that's something that's been emerging for years, but I think even now more so than ever, we're really starting to see trophy cards take off. And therefore, I think, even like your mid-tier or lower tier trophy cards are starting to rise in price, which obviously if those rise up to a certain threshold, the ones above them would have to rise if they're rare. And so we're seeing like they're almost being pulled up in 2 different directions as the lower ones push higher because people feel like they've already missed out on this. That pushes these higher. And then when the higher ones go higher, it pulls the others up. So it's almost like a 2-pronged attack that these cards are moving up. And so I think, yours obviously would be like one of the higher ones that pulls up. But every time one of these illustrators goes for more and keeps selling for more, and like you said, when the 7 goes, it's probably going to go for more, that we'll see, all of the other trophies in its same category go up as well. And so to me, that makes sense. And I think the more big name people that come into the hobby with deep pockets, and I'm not even talking like celebrity big name, but just deep pocket people,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to look for things like that, those status symbol type things, or just the things that make great investments and say, what are some of these rarest things? People are going to quickly figure out, well, first ed Charizard in a 10 is like one of the biggest grails of the hobby, that it is, it's not the rarest card in the hobby, and that
Mm-hmm.
there are many of these other things that can really compete on many of the same levels outside of probably just brand awareness. And so, to me, actually, I think it makes complete sense, and I think it was an epic score. So I
Thank
think
you.
it's I
Yeah, I'm
think it's really cool that
excited.
you got it.
I'm excited to see what happens. I mean, another thing that when you look at these cards, it's the pricing's all arbitrary. It's all based on what somebody's willing to pay. And
Yeah.
if you want to find one of these today, the only place to get them is on eBay. SM Pratt, he's got a number 1 and a number 3, both PSA 8s, listed for $2 million each. So you can either buy that one or you can buy mine. And I'm going to set whatever price I want on that thing. Now, my card is altered. So supposedly there's, which I'm still like, tried looking at this thing in depth. I've found a little bit of it. I just don't know to what extent. Somebody colored in some whitening on the back of it. So that's why it's altered. People have been asking that like crazy. So you can't get a grade when you have an altered card. You just get we have the authentic on the label, which is the most important thing for a card of this caliber. So I'm happy about that. I would love to see if there's a possible way to kind of restore its originality, maybe wipe off the inking if possible.
Would not.
I
would
think,
not do that.
I think it's an interesting conversation because, looking at art, how they restore paintings like that, I think it's doable.
Yeah,
I also think having that altered taken off the label would increase the value potentially for certain people.
Yeah, but if people know that you're starting to manufacture cards, like this is something that the sports world has looked at extensively with things like trimming, right? Where
Right.
like there's a piece of damage on the edge, you trim down. That there are literally now FBI investigations opened up against this kind of thing. It's something that in the comic world is more accepted
Right.
because it's designated, right? But there's also like it's more accepted on like a collector personal perspective, but there's actually like restoration services to remove the like fixings that people do, like when people go out and they actually like pay to get a comic book like pressed and things like that. There's actually you can pay to have that undone, right? And like have it restored to its original how it was. I think a lot of the provenance of that card is, back in the day, no one knew Pokemon was going to be what it is today. The idea that someone's like, oh, I hate that this has a little white speck, I'm just going to put a little blue here. Like that to me adds more provenance to the card.
Yeah.
Once you start altering the card or making the card different or, tampering with it almost, I think that the card doesn't, the grade is like virtually irrelevant. Like it really is. Who are you competing with? What other grades? Like, and I think that's like a really dangerous territory to enter. I think that's why we, even companies like CGC that offer those services on both sides for comics, I think that's why we haven't seen them bring it in for cards because it just won't be accepted. We've already seen that in sports cards and the absolute massive issues it causes. So
Yeah,
I would take that little idea like they do in Harry Potter with the wand.
I don't know. The topic of restoring its originality is interesting, and it's like that's not comparable to trimming or doing anything like that because that's really truly altering the card in a way that's irreversible. You can't re-glue what you trimmed off, but you can remove ink. And although I guess it does fall in that same category, that conversation, there will be a negative stigma behind that. But I think there is a plus side to restoring its true originality. So it's a conversation I'm having in my head. I don't think I'd ever, first of all, you'd have to crack that thing out of the case, which I don't care how experienced you are. That is nerve wracking.
Yeah.
And then also taking whatever you have to take I don't even know how that works. I know you could take like acetone and wipe cards and get rid of the ink. I would never do that to a card like this. Like, so figuring that out is like makes me sweat just thinking about it. But the fact that you can restore originality possibly is intriguing.
So obviously, you like having it in the PSA case, etc. Let me ask you this. Have you ever just considered crossing it? You can get a grade and still have it be the green label inked at CGC. Like it'll say on the back inked, it'll be the green label, but the front will still have the grade. Then you
Mm,
don't have to change the card. Like if
yeah.
you're that intent on that the grade matters,
No, the grade doesn't matter. The originality matters.
I can't see anyone caring about that enough to want the card messed with. I think the idea of just owning the card, like
Yeah.
I don't know. I find that one hard to believe that anyone's going to be picky or choosy enough that says, "Man, I really want, one of those number one Pika trophies or number two. I think yours is number
Mhm.
two. I really want a number two Pika trophy, but man, I think I'm just gonna wait because this one over here has a little ink that was put on by the guy that got it back all the way back in the day." That to
Right.
me is absurd. I don't think that's ever gonna happen. I think all you end up doing is risking either
Yeah.
negative publicity, people not liking it because you did that, or damaging the card.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a huge risk and definitely outweighs the potential value in some people's heads. I've had this conversation already with multiple people, and I think it's a cool idea, but again, it always ends with it sounds it's way too risky to even attempt
Well,
that.
and what
So
precedent does it set, right? One, if that card, say you did it, you sell it for, do people just start doctoring all their cards now? Do they, like there was a first ed Charizard that was inked that went up on
mm,
PWCC, and it was through CGC. It had the inked label on the back and everything. Somebody bust that out and just rub that section of the card off. Well, now it's a 5 instead of an 8, but you know what? Now it's not inked anymore. Now it's a blue light. Like I don't
it's
know, man. I think it just
it's
starts a really dangerous trend in the hobby, and I think this is kind of like sports cards teetered that line,
mm,
and then it became a more and more of a thing. And like maybe it's not just trimming. Like there's other ways that people restore cards in sports that you're
uh,
not supposed to do. Like
mm,
it's very not accepted. Like getting rid of creases and recoloration, like those things,
mhm,
and when I say like recoloration, I'm not saying like take a Sharpie and fix it. I'm saying like very high level like technology to recolor these cards, because these cards are, hundreds to millions of hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars.
yeah,
And this is like why the industry has gotten so tough for, not just grading companies but individuals, right? And buying these cards, I think it just starts a really negative trend that I hope never comes over to our hobby.
mm,
It probably will as cards go
yeah.
higher, but I really hope we don't see it.
All right, interesting to hear your take on it.
Luckily, Pokemon, at least on trimming, has a distinct advantage with rounded corners
Hmm.
that makes it more difficult to
Yeah.
do something like that, which is
Hmm.
why I don't think we really see it much. Um, I mean, I'm sure someone could find a way to do it. I hope they don't ever do, but I think that's like for that specifically in the sports card world is their biggest issue is pointed corners.
Yeah.
Makes it much easier to get like a clean cut. Um, Especially because card quality back then was so off that like to have a border be, incorrect is just like not a thing.
Hmm.
Or like it happened all the time.
Right.
And so yeah, but yeah, it's still it's an interesting thought. I mean, the first time you told me that it was altered, the first thought that comes to my mind is like, man, I wonder like what if it just rubbed off, like
Right.
like that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I think just keeping the card preserved exactly
Yeah.
like how it went to you from winner for like, I think that is just so much more valuable.
That's all I got to catch you up on.
Yeah, I
With
don't
that
have
stuff.
anything else except the winning blip or blep from last week, which it really feels like I'm starting to not win many of these because you go with like the most like either ambiguous or controversial, which then everyone's like, "Oh my god, I gotta hear about that." You're like YouTube clickbait titles in the blips.
Yeah, I
Like
should I
that is
should be
your
I should be making YouTube videos off this stuff, but um
you. There you go.
yeah.
There's your new series, blips or
Blips
bleps.
and bleps. So I guess the most popular one that people wanted to hear about was my blip of you will obtain or you will get Hanada in 2021. And
Yeah, which
I
now is probably not going to happen because we're talking about this
yeah,
card. But so the to give you guys a little bit of backstory, I've been buying Naruto product because I really like it, and if I can find extras, I will sell it. Yeah, so same with Radar. I just haven't got to that point yet that I really want to sell it because now I'm really attached to it. And I mean, look how nice my display looks. but but like that was the idea. Is I was always like, I'm gonna go for like one or two of each of the booster boxes. If I find some extras, that'll give me trade bait into other ones, or I could then sell them to like fund the other ones, etc.
What I do with DBZ.
And obviously that has now spiraled out of control. But one of the other cool things that I discovered in researching was that in set 20 of Naruto, they actually did a really unique thing where they took 20 cards and made alternate art versions of them, and then they made 20 of each, and that was it. So there's 400 in total, but there's only 20 of each individual particular one. And they just put them randomly in the set packs, or first edition packs. So pretty much anything that has first edition packs in it, whether it be booster boxes or blisters or tins or whatever, you had a chance to pull one of these cards. We don't know if all of them have been pulled. There's no like compiled data. There used to be a sheet on the forums back in the day when Naruto forums existed where they were trying to compile it. They never were able to finish any of them. You have to assume some of them have been lost to time, etc. But the reality is there could still be some impacts out there. So to me, that chase, that idea of like completing the whole set and maybe even someday opening one myself, it is like a really huge driver. And I know the reality is low on it, but it's just fun. So I've actually been trying to piece this set together. It has not been easy. These are virtually impossible to come by, and the people that have them don't want to sell them. Probably partially because the market hadn't really evolved on them for a while. Most of them were sitting right around like the $800 to $1,000 range. And so they hadn't really moved. So a lot of people don't want to sell them. I have managed to acquire a Sakura and 2 Enos. So trade bait if someone's got, one I want that I don't have here.
For Hinata, make it
one
happen.
of them is Hinata, which is my favorite character in Naruto. Unfortunately, this is the kid one, which I found Hinata as a kid super annoying, but as an adult, she was super cool. So I do want to get that one, and that is what he is referencing, is that you will get one. I know where there are 2, somebody that I know owns 2 in our Discord that will not sell them, and so it's really unfortunate. So now there's, and I know someone else that has a full set, and somebody else that has a full set. So there's 4 of the 20 just gone that I probably do not ever have a chance at. And so now there's, 16 left out of 20. So 80% of the pool is like what I'm working with, assuming that they've all been pulled and are all still out there and none were lost in the mail or damaged or whatever. And so it's a journey. It's tough. It's not going to be easy. I've managed to find 2 different ones, 3 in total. I know somebody else that owns, one that they picked up off eBay, and then those sets. And that's pretty much the extent of it. So it's a journey. I hope you're right. I hope I do find one. I suspect after this, it will be even more difficult than it was prior.
I hope this helps.
That's all part of the hunt. That's part of the game.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe I'll even open it.
I hope this helps. Yeah. And I mean, that's the other thing. I am kind of concerned that you can only get them out of booster boxes. I don't know why that would be a reason. Because we can't find any booster boxes for that set. But
so I don't think that's the case. And the reason being is because they alternated first edition and non. In set. So like once they hit a certain print threshold, like they did their first print run, those were all first edition, then they would go to non. Tales of the Gallant Sage didn't have any non-first edition. Even when they did the tins later, they included all first edition packs from that print run because they had started making print runs smaller, like to accommodate the size of the player base. And so those packs, it wouldn't make sense that they would have printed additional packs and labeled them first edition as well. And because they did do unlimiteds. And so based on everyone I've talked to back in the day and everything like that, they don't have any reason to believe that they were exclusive only to booster boxes, that they should be encompassed within all 3 products. So I'm pretty confident that the possibility is there across the board, which is why I went and bought so many tins, because someday I would love to just rip a bunch of them open and
that's my plan.
Roll the dice.
I plan on opening every single Tales of the Gallant Sage pack that I own. I think we got it to like 1 in 800 and some packs.
Yeah, I think it was like, because there's 24 packs in a box, and I think it's like 20, or was it 1 in 72 boxes, 48 boxes, something like that. Like it's something absurd, but yeah, it's like it's a lot. It's a lot of packs to get one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, someone
So
find a
that's
Hinata,
it. If you
trade
got
it to
some, you
Squeaks
got
for
an alternate
Eno.
art from set 20. Hit your boy up.
Yeah, trade it to him for the Eno. I don't care if you already have an Eno. Just do it. Just help him out. Make my blip come
There you
true.
go. Yeah. Or just sell it to me.
Or
I'll
sell
buy
it
it.
to him.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you have it and you don't want to get rid of it, show it to me anyways, just so I know where it's at. I just want to know. I just want to see them.
Send them your address. Send them your alarm code.
I'm not breaking in. I'm not that desperate.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, so that's the blip. I know now we're off tangent of when our blips and bleps come out, but maybe we'll get back to it someday. So.
Now on Wednesday, you can expect to see the 3 blips and the 3 bleps, and you'll pick then, and then we'll reveal them on Sunday.
Perfect. All right. Well, Squeaks, it was nice catching up with you, man. I missed you.
It was nice catching up with you. I'm excited to do Wednesdays now. Hopefully we'll have some juicy something come out between now and then, but that's all I've got. You got anything else?
I don't. Have a wonderful Sunday. Go
Super
Lions.
Bowl.
Super Bowl. Eat pizza.
Watch this, and then you'll watch this at noon, and then the Super Bowl will be happening 6.5 hours after this goes live. So by the time you see this, an hour and something of the podcast, you'll have 5 hours till the Super Bowl. Don't miss it.
You want to make your friend's boyfriend, husband, whoever mad? Throw this on right when they're in the red zone. Just turn this on.
Turn us on, baby.
Make them mad.
Touchdown.
Perfect.
That's what you guys should do.
Prediction.
The second someone gets ready to score, Chromecast me up saying touchdown.
What's your prediction for anybody that's listening at the end? I predict that Tampa Bay will win 27-20.
I think it will be a shootout. I also think Tampa Bay wins. I think Tampa Bay's defense will give Kansas City a hard time, and therefore, I actually think it will be 28-16.
Wait, why did I say 27? Can you even get to 27?
Or 28 to 17.
28 to
17. 2 touchdowns on field goal. Yeah, I think that's where it will land. Tom Brady is just not who I'd want to face off in the Super Bowl, period. Like, I know that Kansas City team went last year. They've got a lot of guts, a lot of steel, but
a lot of hoorah.
That is just the kryptonite, man. That guy is something else.
He is a god. Yeah.
I saw some graphic real quick that he had they broke down his stats across the years, and he's had 3 Hall of Fame worthy careers. If you take his years, Super Bowl titles, MVPs, etc. It's literally all 3 of them would have qualified for the Hall of Fame, broken down across. And that to me is just absurd. So it'll be fun to watch. Old gun against new gun, and should be a good time. So.
Cool. Well, we'll see you guys.
That's all we've got for you guys today.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Collectible Conversations, where you can catch us every Wednesday and Sunday at 12 p.m. EST. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.